Bonjour, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Jezebelle Trinity. I am Trinity, and I will be your host this evening. I am doing pretty good. I hope everybody's doing well out there, being safe and doing well and well. This week, I've decided to share how I live by the 7 grandfather teachings, focusing on one teaching each day for the next 7 days. So each post I'll reflect what each teaching means. Never mind. Each day I will reflect on what each teaching means to me, why it's important, how I practice it, and the impact it has in my life. For example, I think today a big one I wanted to start off with. Well, if you don't know what the 7 grandfather teachings are, they are Anishinaabe teachings, and it's 7, like love, wisdom, trust, honesty, bravery, humility, and courage. But today, I know I wanted to kind of start with humility. Humility, being humble, and how I live by that. And I think that was like the first one to, when I started living, changing my life, it kind of fit into the principles. I didn't like have the principles in front of me and then go by them. I just started to figure it out. Like humility comes, oh man, I just remember that when I'd make a mistake, I'd mess up, I would really beat myself up for, man, like a long time, for days. I'd be like, oh, be all in my poor me, I'm such a screw up. I can't do anything right. And just kind of beat myself up. And I would tell people that, like, I don't know how to do this. Kind of like being my pity pot and dragging it out for a long time, I guess, and seeking approval through that, through pity. And how I changed it was, if I'm in that pity pot of making a mistake, or talking down to myself, I don't move anywhere. I'm stuck, and I'm not moving forward. I'm actually stepping backwards, because not giving myself grace. And if I'm stuck, I'm not acknowledging that I'm human, that I make mistakes, and that I can't look at how I can do it better. If I'm focused in my shame, if I'm stuck in my shame and stuck in my pity pot, I can't figure out a way how I can be better or have the good self-talk. So how do I come out of that? Is practice. And once I started to realize that nobody wants to hear me complaining about how I messed up, or how sucky I am at this, or they don't really want to hear that, and it doesn't do any good for me. And being humble, how how do I own my mistakes? Once I started to do it, once I started to realize that I made a mistake and own up for it, own up to it, it feels like I that's how I let go of it. I'm not hanging on to it for days, beating myself up with it. If I own it and say, okay, I messed up, I can do better next time, and or worry. I worried a lot about messing up, like the whole world would end. My whole world would just crumble and I'd be so dramatic. I'm just dramatic in my head. And I just have to laugh because that took a lot of practice to overcome that, to say it's okay to make a mistake. And when you can admit to somebody that you did make a mistake instead of crying about it to them about making the mistake, and admitting to them, man, I messed up, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry that I did that, and I'll do better next time. It really, um it's just respectful to yourself, to others, and to their time, because um they're not, maybe looking for validation, like, oh, okay, you're gonna be okay, looking for that, when I could empower myself and say I was wrong, or I messed up, and I don't know how to do this. Can you show me how to do this? Asking for help. That is, I still have a little bit of issue with that, asking for help. Um, you know, um, I guess I've been out of practice for that. Been out of practice doing that. So, oh, and I haven't practiced it a lot. And I noticed that in my new job that, I could ask for help. They offer help. My coworkers, I work with a great crew, man. They're awesome, and I just got kind of lucky, and they offer help, and it's awesome, and I love it. But I need to ask for help more often. And how do you feel when somebody asks you for help? Doesn't it make you feel better when um somebody says, "Hey, can you help me do this?" Doesn't that make you feel like you're gonna that you can? Doesn't make you feel better to help somebody? Is what I'm saying. Because I know it makes me feel better if somebody asks me for help. I'm glad to help, and if I can help, that makes it even 100 times better. So yeah, humility, and when I'm humble, admitting my mistakes, that takes me out of my ego. I'm not making decisions with my ego or with pride, and I can make better decisions, solid decisions when I'm humble. And when I make those decisions using humility or being humble, that makes it for a stronger foundation. If I'm making decisions out of my ego, then that leaves my foundation um, shaky, and it could fall apart. So my whole goal is to build a strong foundation for my life, because my life has fallen apart so many times, and I wonder why. I kind of figuring it out now, and I'm building a stronger foundation, and I want to make sure that I make decisions not in my ego, with true humility, with love, and That's just a way of life. So tomorrow could be, let's see, love. I was almost going to start today off with love, just because love is like the best. Love is, um, you just can't beat love. You know, if you do everything with love, um, love overcomes all. And I'm not talking about relationships or being with somebody. I'm just talking about loving yourself and loving, um, doing things with love. You know, like cooking with love. Oh my gosh, have you ever noticed that when you cook and you're in a good mood, you know, with love, like you're cooking a meal for your family or for whoever, for yourself, that the food turns out way better? Because I know when I've been mad before, when I was angry, and I'd be mad and pissed off cooking dinner, my food would turn out like shit. You know, and I'd be frustrated and things would be going, pots and pans would be flying out the door. And when I cook now, I love cooking actually. I mean, I don't love to do it all the time, but when I do cook, I put I cook with love, and that kind of vibrates through me and into my food, so it's good. And I'm proud to say that. But yes, so I just wanted to share and kind of kick off this next 7 days for a grandfather teaching each day, and how I apply that to my life, how it impacts my life, or how I practice it and how it impacts my life. And humility is a is a strong one. You know, without humility, I wouldn't be here today. Just because if I was living my life through pride and ego the way I was going, I would have self-destructed. Oh, you know, I was on my way to self-destruction. I was self-destructing. And I'm so grateful to be here today, sitting here, sharing my experience and with you. And for me, I want to share what I've learned, what I've had to go through to for others, because for me to hear from somebody that's gone through it, that actually gone through something, made it over something, their words are gold because they've been through it. You know, I'm not going to listen to somebody that hasn't been through it. You know, like, for example, trying to, I'm going to say, trying to, say, jump a wall. You know, I'm going to listen to somebody that has successfully jumped that wall than somebody that sits back from the audience and says, I should do it this way. You know, I'm going to listen to the person that's jumped that wall, and not somebody who thinks they know how it's done. And yeah, so I'm strong believer in lived experience, so that's why I'd like to share my lived experience with you. You know, I'm not trying to share things on what I don't know about or what I haven't been through. And hopefully we can show and teach each other, learn from each other, and grow and rise, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. This is it. I love it. That's my favorite. We are the ones we've been waiting for. This is the change. This is the paradigm shift. But I love all you guys. Miigwech for walking with me and hanging in there. And I appreciate all of you. And I hope you have a good night. And peace, love, 100% respect. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I'm not sure what tomorrow's teaching will be. Maybe love. But love you guys. Have a good night. Miigwech. Gigawav 'em in. Good night.